Huntington, West Virginia is the home of beIN Sports College football for Week 2 of the 2016 season. The Thundering Herd from Marshall welcoming the Morgan State Bears to the toughest place to play in all of college football. Jones C. Edwards Stadium, where the Herd have won 20 of their last 21 games. It's Marshall versus Morgan State, live on beIN Sports College football. Keys to the game starting with Marshall. Donovan.
Well, I think it's important that they allow Chase Litton to get into a rhythm. Three-step drop, maybe play action, involve their tight ends a little bit, get the ball out of his hands, get into that completion rhythm, and feel good about different things. Now that opens up the game a little bit more, where you start to see running holes really open up and running backs take advantage of it.
Kajana.
Well, like I mentioned before in the last segment, I think we're looking at the synergy on the defense because they're all young, a lot of new players, and missing that one key player in the strong safety. Can they trust each other, be in the place at the right time, and we can know that OJ is going to fill that gap. So I think the synergy within the defense is going to be key.
OJ.
I think with the 4 running backs they like to use in this game, I think it gives Chase Litton a nice chance to get his play-action passing going to Yurachek, a tight end, as well as DeAndre McManus. I think they got a great opportunity to get the ball down the field this way. We're going to see if they let it loose a little bit for Chase Litton.
In terms of Morgan State, Donovan, I mean, this could be a tough afternoon for them, but key to the game for them.
Well, first of all, erase what happened last week. Now it's time for a new blitz package. I think it's important that they involve 8 in the box, find ways to get to Chase Litton and force him to get the ball out of his hands quicker than usual. Now that is in the turnover category, they take advantage. Offensively, you get the ball back, keep their offense off the field, and good things happen for you.
Key.
Man, if they're going to have a fighting chance, they got to control the clock. I mean, team like Marshall is going to overpower them. They're going to get their yards, so the defense got to bend but don't break. No, Marshall will get the yards, but the defense got to hold them. And then also they had 14 penalties last week for 115 yards.
Yeah, I need to limit that. OJ.
Yeah, they have to force turnovers, give their offense a short field. That's the only way they can win.
Is anybody at this table going to make a prediction that Morgan State wins this game?
Absolutely not.
Survey says?
All right. Sorry. The Thundering Herd and their fans have had to wait an extra week, so they are more than ready to get the season started. That is it for us in the pregame show. We'll be back at halftime, but stay tuned because kickoff is next. Marshall versus Morgan State, live on beIN Sports.
Beautiful fall Saturday in Huntington, West Virginia, where the Marshall Thundering Herd have had to wait an extra week to open their season. But Chase Litton and company all ready to roll with Morgan State in town. It'll be the Herd, the Bears, next on beIN Sports. Huntington, West Virginia. Fantastic atmosphere for a game known as the best one in Conference USA, as the Marshall Thundering Herd play host to the Morgan State Bears to open up their 2016 season. Marshall quarterback situation is a little bit smoother. Last year, baptism by fire for the then freshman Chase Litton. This year he enters, as Jonathan Moxon would say, as QB1.
Yeah, now it's a blessing. Before it was a curse, but he did lead them 7 straight wins last year and gave them 10 victories once again. So look forward for him to have a big, big night.
And it's a raise in leadership as well for Litton coming into that sophomore year. And for someone who did talk to him this week, we send it down to the 3rd member of our team, Huntington, West Virginia, by way of Dallas, Texas. It's our friend Jordan Daigle.
Thank you, Matt. Well, Chase Litton, he may be young, but there is no question that he has already assumed his leadership role. For Chase, he was truly thrown into the fire last year as a true freshman, stepping up huge for the Thundering Herd. But, this season, he has really matured in the system. All of his coaches have given that testament to him. I had a chance to talk to Chase, and he said he tries to lead a precedent by being the first one on the field, the last one to leave the field, and always tells his guy to be ready to seize the moment. And we know that Chase Litton knows that feeling all too well. And for Chase, as we've said, that 10-win season last year was not enough. Chase Litton is an incredible competitor, and he is ready to lead his guys to that Conference USA championship. And that journey, it starts here tonight. Matt?
Thank you very much, Jordan. The extra week of practice, all that preparation. Heard us mention in the pregame, or maybe you didn't, that Ryan Juracek had said that they were just bored at this point. They wanted to get started. That's usually the old cliche, just hit somebody else who isn't your teammate.
Yeah, whether you're looking for fresh meat or new blood, either way, you're tired of hitting your teammate, you're tired of hitting that green and white, you're looking for a new victim.
Alex Rea all set to kick it off. Keon Davis, Caleb Harris back deep for Marshall. This is a team that led the entire nation last year in special teams efficiency. Really good return of kicks. And we'll see if this happens to be their day again today. First ever meeting between these two teams. Our first trip here to Huntington, West Virginia. We couldn't be more excited. And we're underway on beIN Sports. This will be Davis. Hurdling, man, out across to the 35-yard line.
Not a bad place to start for Chase Litton in this offense, going ahead and getting up to the 35. Got a little bit of a short field today to deal with right now, and you do not want to be giving Chase Litton a short field. Their right tackle, absolute stud and Outland Trophy candidate.
Foster with a head of steam on second down, ends up picking up the first down. Litton, plenty of time, but it breaks down. Foster, first down, lost the football though, and still on his feet. That's Greg Gibson, down to the 36-yard line.
I'd like to see the replay on that one. I'm not sure if he had total control of that football. Oh, and you even saw Chase Litton trying to make right on a mistake and even get involved in that tackle as well.
So Foster didn't look like ever had control. Possession awarded to Chris Andrews and the Bears.
Morgan State. The previous play is under review. The ruling on the field stands. First down, Morgan State.
Gillis, the motion man. And nothing doing for Johnson. Ends up swallowed up in the backfield. Andrews looking for the seam. That won't get the first down yardage, but it's Fisk.
It's a positive play. You're going to look at this and glad that you're going to get about 5 or 6 yards out of this one. But what I did like seeing is the 5 Marshall hats that were on top of this play right here. Watch how fast Morgan catches this football, turns around and makes it go. But then notice the 3 green jerseys that are on him, quick as a hiccup.
Gibson, the leader of the defense. Litton on 3rd and long. Good ball. Has Hunt. One of the top five offenses in Conference USA, and this ends up being a fake. And guess who? A guy whose name we'll probably call a lot tonight, Juracek, first down.
As a special teams coordinator right now on the other side of that football, you got the head coach coming down and doing a little bit of chewing out right now. First thing you got to realize is you cannot give up a punt fake, especially with a wonderful defensive performance that these guys already put in on this second series early on in this football game. For Morgan State, so I'm wondering how they're going to be dealing with that this week. I imagine they had a little bit of extra conditioning throughout the week to kind of compensate for that.
Second down and 5, and they end up picking it up with Bird. First down and then some.
That's that 1 and 2 duo of tight ends. You got Juracek, who might be taking a little bit of a breather right now after that wonderful punt fake, and go ahead and substitute his body double, basically. You're looking at Bird, who's a phenomenal tight end, great receptions, great with his feet.
Litton checking down on 3rd and 14. They use most of the play clock. And over the middle. That's Knight, the slot receiver with the first down for the Herd.
Doing a little bit of our homework, looking at multiple receivers here. They do have plenty of threats at the wide receiver or even skilled position area. You saw Knight right there go up real high and nice over top of that middle.
Pushes the Herd just slightly outside the red zone. Time for Litton, jump ball, end zone, push off, what a touchdown.
That's our boy Clark. That's our fella Clark right there. Michael Clark, basketball player of all things. Former basketball player and a Division I player for St. Francis. Ends up getting a little bit of a phone conversation or a phone call from his teammate, former teammate back in high school down there at Wharton, and saying, you know what, why don't you come try a little bit of football out? You might not be seeing on the court a little bit in St. Francis. Why not give football a shot? And that 6'7" wide receiver goes up real tall in the end zone. You're going to see that taken advantage of all night long.
Amaretto Curry, born in Albania and been in the U.S. a while from Tampa, Florida. He's banging it home. So it took him a little while, but Michael Clark and the Marshall Thundering Herd, the early one-touchdown lead. They're up 7. Rising from the ashes, they are Marshall. The popular rallying cry for the Thundering Herd. And after a slow start, Brett Romberg on the board.
Yeah, you see Clark right there take advantage of Delonte Hall. A lot of people don't know this, but this is Clark's first football game since junior year in high school after going ahead and playing basketball over at St. Francis Division I. Little converted basketball player on the field tonight, taking over.
Andrews on first down, send it down to the sideline, and Jordan Daigle.
Thanks, Matt. Well, coaches were really excited when Michael Clark came onto the horizon. You know, this former D1 basketball player, he said he had a change of heart last year and just really missed being on the football field. And Coach Legg, you know, he said, we have a weapon in you, which is understandable considering he is a 6'7" wide receiver. You know, I talked to Clark and he said he is just really excited to get back out here under the lights. And guys, he said his job is just to score touchdowns. And well, he's already fulfilling that job tonight.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty good start, Jordan. Thank you. Holding penalty on the Bears ends up backing them up, but Johnson swallowed up in that backfield. Blake Keller, the veteran defensive coordinator, Chuck Heater, now in his 4th season here in Huntington. Andrews and Co. from the 30 and swallowed up. Ryan B.
Ryan B. in 2015, All-Conference USA Frosh. Started all 12, 13 games last year. Big play by Ryan B. right there. The man is a bigot. I'm telling you right now, he's 6'7", 260 pounds, redshirt sophomore out of Ashland, Ohio. The guy has grown exponentially in this game.
They play well here at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. How well? They're up there with some of the big boys in terms of winning percentage in the last few years. That's impressive.
Yeah, not too many people know how difficult it is to come here to West Virginia and play against Marshall, especially in their own backyard. Putting up some really nice numbers, both sides of the football.
Just how good are they at home? That winning streak goes back almost 2 years. Western Kentucky and Brandon Doughty, their talented quarterback, now up in the NFL. Last ones to beat him. Crossing pattern, Juracek, plenty of room to run, rumbling toward the end zone. Juracek, happy belated birthday, touchdown Herd.
Only a matter of time before Ryan Juracek gets an opportunity like this and just streaking up the middle of the field. You see Chase Litton following up with the airplane right now, going to congratulate his #1 target. Obviously, they're not in the red zone right now. Juracek is #1 red zone target. It doesn't take for them to get to the red zone for him to throw Juracek the football. Getting congratulated and awarded on the sideline with all of his teammates. That's one thing that I did notice coming here early is the brotherhood that goes on here at Marshall. Very similar to the University of Miami. I was talking to Coach Doc Holliday about it.
Curry on for the extra point. And the Thundering Herd, Juracek rumbling his way for 58 yards. Dad Hunter probably watching in Houston. Hi, Dad. Marshall by 14. And Ryan Juracek celebrating the 20th birthday a little bit late.
Yeah, Ryan Juracek. Last year, 9 TDs last season. Second most single season TD catches in tight end school history. A lot of decorated wide receivers and tight ends from this school. You can see the shift kind of going over to the tight end side of the things now as well. Former wide receivers Randy Moss and quarterbacks Chad Pennington and Byron Leftwish, studs, helping them out, get a little bit of number favoritism there.
Morgan State with Brown the third swallowed up in the backfield. Davon Durant, you wanted to see him, the junior college transfer.
Looking through the weight room yesterday, checking out the board. I don't know if anybody knows about what goes on in the weight room at Marshall, but they have this board of the numbers that they have up there. You see Durant's name underneath all of the record board. It's astronomical, the numbers that Durant has. I think he benched 2 1/4 36 times, and at the linebacker spot, that's pretty impressive.
You're not even benching 2 1/4 36 times these days.
I can't even bench 2 1/4 these days.
and having trouble, and gets hit quickly.
Yeah, this happened last week as well. Similar situation last week. Center snaps the ball over top of the quarterback's head, but luckily Andrews got up to go ahead and stop this thing from sailing over his head into the end zone. One of the things that I know Coach Ferrier was trying to clean up was this quarterback-center exchange.
And we'll come back here in a few weeks. Love the hospitality here in Huntington, West Virginia, so we thought we'd come back.
Yeah, they're taking good care of us here in Marshall.
And this is a great town, a lot of tradition, and a lot of remembrance of those who came before. Play action, and Litton gonna take a shot down the middle, touchdown, favorite target. Hello, Michael Clark.
Once again, this is starting to look a little bit unfair. 6'7" wide receiver streaking up and down the field. Wonderful hands. Took advantage of Garnes there, number 26. I don't know how you're going to defend a 6'7" wide receiver who could run coming up and down the football field, especially with 6'1" corners and safeties.
They're rolling. Let's take a look.
Yeah, you see Litton right here, real comfortable, not even bothering extending that play fake. Just finding him streaking up the middle of the football field. Number 7, Michael Clark, big fella, 6'7", former St. Francis basketball player. Looks like he's having a heck of a day already early. Imagine not playing football for 5 or 6 years and realizing, hey, let me go ahead and just join Marshall and go ahead and score 2 touchdowns in the home opener.
And quite the discrepancy in total yardage. 211-10 to this point. And remember, this is a Morgan State team that ended up in Marshall territory early on. 0 for 3 on third downs. Andrews under pressure, hit, and they won't get the first down with Poteet. And there he is again, Neely all over him in coverage. Gary Thompson on a bad day benches 485. Right in your living room.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't even think Andrews took a peek at him. I thought he saw big number 99, and then going ahead and pounding him with Anderson.
Reversing the field, Davis, not where he wanted to go, but some blockers out in front. Into Morgan State territory.
It almost looks like right now that Marshall is toying with him again in the backfield here. I don't know if you saw. Take a look at number 1, Chase Litton here. Go ahead and act like he's about to block somebody when he comes back around the other side. And then you see number 9 right there as well. Justin Hunt come in and deliver a nice little block. Stop messing with him. Stop playing with him, I'm telling him.
35-yard pickup, by the way. And Davis already 7 carries, 50 yards. It took him a little bit here in Huntington, but Marco the Buffalo and company are smiling. The Marshall Thundering Herd up 21-0 on the visitors from the MEAC on BN Sports. Back in Huntington 20 years ago, last month, some guy named Randy Moss ended up stepping on campus, and the results were pretty good in those 2 years.
Yeah, another one on the leaderboard in the weight room as well. 40 time. That big fella right there ran a 4.2440. Randy Moss is about 6'6", if I'm not mistaken. Big fella like that shouldn't be running that quick, but Florida State is rumored to say that they haven't seen speed like that since Deion Sanders.
Why not keep your offense rolling?
They keep going back and forth from a odd defense 4-3. Oh, there's that pre-snap penalty.
And getting it to the end zone. Yes, sir. Deontay McManus. Playmakers for days for the Herd.
They're just rotating through receiver after receiver after receiver. I can't say enough about this Deontay McManus. Another force to be reckoned with. You see Chase Litton right here sitting back in the comfortable pocket. This is a great catch by McManus. Over the back. You're not going to see that too often. Again, poor Delonte Hall. He's had 2 put on him right now. Got abused by 6'7" Clark, and now McManus. I don't know if you see the arms on McManus right there, but McManus is in the 10th spot for the most strong college football player according to Bleacher Report. McManus benching about 505 pounds at that wide receiver position. I'm sorry if I keep talking about the weight room here, but I'm I'm really excited about that.
Brett Romberg spent a little time there. Probably would have liked Deontay McManus. 31 yards out, and the herd rolling so far.
You see how steady his feet are right now sitting in that pocket. He's gone all day long, no pressure. 6'7" wide receiver said, okay, I'll take one of those. And then again, once again, streaking between the hashtags, going ahead and put that thing in the end zone for his second one of the night. And then he connects right now with McManus. That big 500-pound bench just told Delonte Hall to get off me a little bit right there. And almost abusing the defensive backs for Morgan State right now is Chase Litton.
And now we'll see if Andrews could get something started. Show you the feet and out of bounds. Run
Chase
out of there by Amari Cobb.
Yeah, Cobb, another one of those guys. It just seems like there's tons of guys on this roster right now that are continually contributing.
Maintain the house, the words we were given by offensive coordinator Bill Legg, but it still applies here. Third down, make it 2nd and 6, and the shot down into double coverage. And incomplete. We're looking for Fisk, who takes a big-time shot. Kendall Gant in there.
Yeah, he got sandwiched. He was exposed, too, on that one. He's hurting. Probably got the wind knocked out of him. Hopefully nothing else but that. You see him going across the middle right here, leading up for him. Big arm by Andrews and getting sandwiched in there, exposed. Rodney Allen right there. He's a big hitter as well, coming off that field corner spot. It's his first career start. 6'4", 325-pounder, big fella.
QB draw here on 2nd and goal. Andrews loses 3. In the red zone on touchdowns last year, 16 of 33. Andrews. Ball comes loose, and the herd, Davis. Going to be a foot race, and he'll get there. To the house. 96 yards.
Pop that thing right out of the air. That's what happens when you have a lot of players around the football. Anything. Situation right here, I'm not sure if you can see it. Neely right now coming up to make this big stick. Pops it right in the air, perfectly right in the lap of George Davis out of Fort Myers. He's going to be tired. It's a long way to go for a touchdown. Well done. These defensive backs from Marshall just continually impress me. Whether it's their size or their speed, it's just they seem to be in the right place at the right time. That's great coaching.
Curry, 5 for 5 on the day so far. Here on 2nd and 10, this tipped at the line and nearly intercepted. Martin, the intended receiver. And they swarm to that football. Boy, do they ever. Kendall Gant taking off there.
That's big Jason Smith, 6'3", 300-pound sophomore. Number 99 once again. Nice little story on Jason Smith.
Yep, Jersey guy.
Yeah, Jersey kid right there. You can see him come in, break up, put his hand up, keep the offensive lineman off of his knees, and pop up and knock this ball down.
Well, they have the batted ball, pair of tackles for loss, and a sack as far as this defensive line. Andrews hit as he throws. This one's going to hang up and picked. They come out of the air with Neely.
They warned us about Devin Durant. They done warned us about Devin Durant. I kept asking Coach all week long, saying, Coach, please tell me something special about him. And he just pointed at the weight room and said, go take a peek. You see him hurdling the hurdling the blocker right here and taking advantage of every opportunity right there and just laying a nice little shot. They said he's the hitter of the team, relentless.
Well, that's right, Matt. You know, we've talked about Chase Litton's leadership and competitiveness, but guys, we haven't talked about the motivation behind this young man, and that would be his mother, Lisa Litton. Lisa is a 2-time breast cancer survivor and was diagnosed with lupus 3 years ago. And ultimately, Lisa is where Chase gets his fighter mentality. Chase and Lisa are absolutely, have an incredibly strong bond. They are each other's strength, you know, and Chase said she is a soldier and she is always so positive, and he told me he always strives to be like her in every facet of his life. And I also had a chance to talk with Lisa, who is absolutely unbelievable. And of course, she's so proud of Chase and his character and the young man he has become. But you know, while she is a football female, through and through, raising a house full of boys. She told me that ultimately Chase's character and his heart are more important than his arm. Matt?
Well, thank you very much, Jordan. And there you see that special bond. Chase lived with 4 other football players last year. She was basically house mom. She would come and cook and clean. Chase's brothers, one of them is in Florida. The other, Josh, ends up working in Tampa. Zach is down there in Gainesville. 2nd down and 9. And Litton right on cue with Hunt. Touchdown. Team Litton strikes again.
I'm not too interested in seeing Chase Litton's numbers after this. This is kind of getting a little messy before halftime. It's just an air show right now with Chase Litton. The wide receivers that he keeps spreading the ball to. You see him with Clark, you see him with Juracek, you see him with Hunt and Knight. Next one on the list, I imagine, is going to be Willie Johnson. I'm wondering if he's going to show up tonight as well. So seems like he's spreading the breadbasket around a little bit.
240 yards already. And what is 5 touchdowns for Chase Litton?
All camp long, the wide receivers were talking a lot of junk to the defensive backs, and spending 4 weeks going against the other guy that is on your team, you don't really realize how good you are, how good you're developing. But we're going to take a look right now. You can see, once again, all day long in that pocket, he had time to pump fake, he had time to set his feet, and you saw him getting right behind Darius Johnson right there. Darius Johnson obviously keeping his eyes on the quarterback, but
part of Team Romberg. 4-play, 55-yard drive. And the Bears from their own 2 with Johnson. This is a lane to showcase the speed, and it closes quickly. That's Davis again.
I was warned about Cody Carter today, number 4. This defensive back that comes down like an absolute missile. Sometimes I'm wondering if he's even looking for the football. I think he's just looking to go ahead and hit somebody, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm going to bring up a name. Let's get a look at Carter. You remember Bill Bates from the Dallas Cowboys? Used to just launch himself at people.
He was
on
my
special
coach
teams.
at Jacksonville.
There you go. Didn't even know that. Yeah, certainly tough things to deal with. 2 for 9 on 3rd downs. Harris able to escape the rush. But what do you do with it now? And Keller coming from the backside of the play to make that play.
Watch the effort on him right now. They go ahead and show this replay for us really quick. You're going to see the effort on him just not stopping. You saw him miss the quarterback on the rush right now. Dish ragging his defensive end and the running back. Going to the ground, getting back up and coming back and making the tackle. That's effort. So where the offensive line comes into account.
Or maybe not.
Or not.
Litton right down the seam on 1st down.
That's your tight end, Bird.
Yeah, Bird with a big-time gain down to the 34-yard line. Bird ended up getting the ball first, as Litton just going to pick this defense right apart. Willie Johnson, there he is, down to the 9-yard line.
It's only a matter of time.
Yards. Litton, plenty of time. End zone, why not? Another one. Touchdown for the Herd. It's
That's Bird. Yeah.
Bird is the word for Marshall.
Body double almost for Ryan Juracek. Juracek already got one earlier tonight. Why not go ahead and get Bird one? 2 tight end duo. You see Juracek come over and tap him and congratulate him. Those 2 are going to be lethal this year. Whether you're talking about red zone or you're talking about middle of the field situations, the tragic stories that are part of this Marshall program.
Just saw Doc Holliday, and
there he is.
Yep, the one to do.
There's my missile.
Carter. Yep.
There's my missile, number 4 Carter. We were warned about him earlier on in the week, and sure enough, it didn't take him much longer to show up. He's been in there bullying people around, finally getting his head on the tackle. I'm afraid that they just didn't realize that they had to block him.
And really talked about molding these guys, teaching them how to be sons and fathers and good, productive citizens for Morgan State. To the studio when we come back. Jeremy Donovan, OJ, Kajana, and co. We'll be back. Scores, highlights, and more. It's all heard here in Huntington on Be It Sports.
we said going into this game, we didn't really give Morgan State much of a shot. Not to be mean, but it's just the way that this game was setting up with this Marshall team and the way that they've been playing the last few seasons. Donovan, what did you take from the first half, even though the score is 49-0?
You know, we came into this game talking about Chase Litton being a young quarterback. What would they do to try to get him into a rhythm early? I thought what they did was they tried to establish the run and then set up the play-action pass. Well, the quick game was really important for him. He got his tight end involved. He started hitting some quick slants, some quick outs, which led to now bombs downfield. What impressed me the most was the size they have on offense. The wide receiver position, they're averaging probably around 6'2", 6'3", with a 6'7" wide receiver.
Yeah, Michael Clark.
Who it just didn't work out in basketball, but if you're 6'7", you need to be playing small forward. And then the tight end position. But more importantly, I think what they've done in this first game, they opened up a lot of eyes. I think for the questions now about that offense, everyone was able to see different things.
Yeah, let's take a look at the first half highlights. We do have just a few of them to get to. Chase Litton, of course, lots of questions about him. Such a great freshman season, and he picks up pretty much right where he leaves off.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it's like his
Michael Clark.
7-on-7.
Yeah, his 2016 highlights is just for this first half.
Yeah, yeah, 6'7", as you mentioned. Not a lot of people out jumping him, although he didn't have a lot of. He made a nice read on the ball there.
Right.
Here's Chase Litton to Ryan Juracek. Juracek goes down the middle, the tight end, one of the most productive tight ends in college football.
Does he have on shorts or are those pants?
Well, in college football, in the NFL, that's a fine, right?
Yeah.
Big fine. Big fine.
Big fine.
In college football, that is A-OK, and Litton in the herd of flying.
With that tight end, you know, he led the FBS in touchdowns last year, so he's off to a good start for this year.
Hey, OJ, play action. Leads to this one.
Opened it up. They tried to run early in this game. Marshall did. It didn't work out as well as they thought. Put the ball on the ground early. Now they're able to open it up with the passing game. Once again, my man Michael Clark.
Yeah, second TD of the game for Clark. Third pass for Litton, and it's 21-0. Still in the second, Litton to Deontay McManus, and this is a catch.
That was a great throw.
Wide receivers making the quarterback look
here
good.
we go.
Great throw.
Wide receivers making the quarterback look good.
You know I'm going to support my guys. I mean, you know. Hey, he put in a position with a receiver. Swag. Okay. Hold on. This is what I'm talking about. Oh, brush it off. Yeah, got a little hot. He got a little hot. I don't know that move because I'm too old.
McManus getting his groove on. Litton lighting it up. 4 touchdowns.
Fella.
Speaking of lighting it up, bam!
Oh, no.
Corey Neely puts a hat on the ball carrier. George Davis catches it in the air, and he is gone. 95 yards for the
right there.
score.
Defensive pride right here, Jeremy. You know, preserving the shutout, up 28-0. Guys are trying to mount a drive and get in the end zone before the half. Defense steps up for them.
Yeah, we were in here thinking, okay, hey, Morgan State's going to get on the board. No. Next possession, Litton the pump fake. Rainbows it to Justin Hunt. He's in for another 6.
Man, he put a TV dinner in the microwave waiting for that ball to come down. Surprised the DBs couldn't get to there.
And then to cap the half, Litton, his 6th touchdown pass of the opening half. This one to Emmanuel Bird, the tight end. It's 49-0.
3 receivers, 2 tight ends.
I was about to say that. That's unbelievable, sharing the wealth and getting everybody involved.
We talk about the running game.
Yeah.
They're lighting it up in the air right now.
Well,
Yeah, they are strong across the board, so much so that backup offensive lineman ended up breaking the bench press record. As they try the shot deep here and incomplete against Spearman, the intended target. Second time they've tried to go to him here in the second half.
Yeah, that was that former starter, Nate Devers, out of Ohio. 525-pound bench press. I don't know if these guys are power lifters or football players. My goodness, some of the numbers that these guys are turning out. Linebackers and wide receivers benching 500 pounds. I've been part of some pretty strong programs, and that takes the cake.
And the quick hitter on first down with Johnson.
Pick up a performance. And as you can see now, you can see a little bit of the rain coming down here.
Harris, meanwhile, going to get swallowed. B, among others. Jason Smith in there, too, representing the number 99, once worn by the Philadelphia Eagles' Vinnie Curry here at Huntington.
Yeah, he's known him for a long time, actually, long before the whole Marshall tie. I guess he grew up not too far from Vinnie Curry and really had a relationship, and I wouldn't say idolized him, but kind of almost looked to him as a leader and wanted to replicate a lot of the great things that Vinnie Curry did here at Marshall. So he just elected to go ahead and ask the coaching staff, would you mind if I had my number changed to number 99 for
This was well before the Thundering Herd ended up getting their lead. And not sure exactly the status or what happened, but this is the four-headed monster that we talked about. And that's Tony Pittman in that backfield, the redshirt junior from Hampton.
Yeah, he had a lot of options. He had a lot of options, too. Could have picked Cincinnati, Miami, Ole Miss, Northern Illinois. He was highly recruited. You could see him just getting those knees up, nice running up and down the sideline here. Had a lot of room, a lot of freedom, and decided on delivering a hit at the end of that one.
1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. And Garrett Morrell, the backup, going to show you his feet. 1st down. Freshman from Leesburg, Georgia.
Cato's gone, and now you have this young fella in your ear. He kind of takes pride in the fact that he continually stays in Chase Litton's ear constantly, letting him know that if he does want to take a couple plays off, he's ready and willing to go ahead and jump in there and steal a little bit of that thunder, no pun intended. Losing 49-0 right now, and the numbers that Marshall's putting up is not exactly the sweetest thing in the world. And
here's another one, Pittman in the end zone.
First one on the ground today, I believe, right? All the other ones came in the air attack. Pittman.
Yeah, all passing, and then the Davis fumble return. That's it. Well, just across the street, the namesake Chad Pennington, Hall of Fame here at Marshall, named after the great Thundering Herd quarterback. And his alma mater up big right now. And we get a visit now from one Chad Pennington in the booth. Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci, and the former 18th overall pick of the 2000 draft. Chad, welcome to the booth.
Thank you guys for having me.
So what's going on? Lexington, Kentucky right now, that's where you are?
4 years in Lexington. We've really enjoyed it. Transition now. The NFL has been relatively smooth in Lexington, and the people of Lexington have helped make that happen. And we found a great place to be, to where we can still access our university and be close to both sides of our family. So we've really enjoyed Central Kentucky.
Well, it's not often that you're standing next to two national champions. Brett Romberg won at Miami. Chad Pennington won here at Marshall. Matt Martucci, so glad that you're with us. I bet you had probably a few of these in your day. You get the opener, get this one out of the way, and smooth sailing in the second half.
Well, it's always good when you have a game like this, because as a coaching staff, you can allow your young guys to get in, get some action, see what type of depth you have as a team, because you're going to need it later on in the season, especially as you get to conference play. So that's always important.
Chad, one of the things I think that impressed us most this week, other than just the tight-knit community here in Huntington, is we get a look at some of the things that you did when you were here. But one of the things that really impressed me was just the mentality, the never satisfied type of mentality that they have right now under Coach Holliday, and I'm sure was kind of similar when you were here under Bob Pruitt.
Well, absolutely, and Coach Pruitt did such a great job with us, always talking to us about never being satisfied, always wanting to play for championships, and being at your best at all times. And Doc Holliday's come in and established the same thing, same type of attitude. Has really done a good job with his players, getting them back out into the community, making sure they understand the full student-athlete experience.
One of the things that's really impressive to me is taking a look at that new facility you guys got. And I know you took a big hand in that, brought in Herm Edwards, had a couple of nice guest speakers in here, raised some money for that.
Well, we, you know what, it's a tribute to our fan base and to our support for our type of program, to be able to have a complete facility that not only services our football program, but our whole athletic department. When you're talking about an indoor facility that 5 and 6 teams use at one time, sports medicine institute, a soccer stadium, an academic center. I mean, it's a very well-rounded project, and one of the best that I've seen around the country.
And this is a place that, in talking to Coach Holliday the other night at the hotel, amazed by the fact that there is that alumni support. Says he's never really been anywhere like this where guys end up coming back and they make donations, and they're a presence here. I mean, you're here, what? It's more than a couple weekends, just about every season, right?
We do. We try to come to every game. We've only missed about 2 in about 3 years. And so, you know, I think as a former player, you appreciate the opportunity that Marshall University, as well as the tri-state area here, gave you, and the people that you meet and the people that you've come across that help you become the man that you are and the family that you have. It just means a lot, and it's tremendous support. I remember when we played, we had such great fan support. We took 14,000 to Columbia, South Carolina, 16,000 down to Clemson. So that type of support is so important when you're a young student athlete.
One of the things that I'm always scared about is past pictures showing up. I was a 300-pound offensive lineman, and I lost some lbs, and I think we have a wonderful picture that we have of you and one of your wide receivers who obviously made a nice little name for himself, Randy Moss. You guys standing side by side. You had a nice little haircut going on.
You like that? There. Yeah, that's that college dude going on. You know, I used to have some nice curls. That's how I was able to meet my wife. She liked my curls, but now they've all fallen out. So.
Well, you know what, Chad? Romberg used to look like Thor, and his wife told him that only Chris Hemsworth was Thor, so no more.
Yeah, exactly.
The long hair wasn't coming back.
I was the busted version of Thor.
Those were the good old days. We had so much fun as student athletes and just being part of a great college atmosphere. I remember guys, talking to some of my former teammates, they didn't even have the experiences that we had at Marshall. They were kind of jealous when I would tell them some of the stories that we had and the camaraderie we had as a team. And it's just such a special place to play at and be a part of.
That's one of the things that I was talking with Doc Holliday about it. I really get the same kind of feel because we go out through the league and we talk to a lot of other players that are on our teams, and they can never figure out what kind of relationship we had at Miami. It was always everybody going back to Miami to work out. Even guys that didn't go to Miami that we played with in the NFL would go back to Miami and see what it's all about. And I really did feel the same type of brotherhood, family, camaraderie, cohesion here, speaking with Doc Holliday, and it just really impressed me, and it kind of took me back to my college days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we try to impress on our young guys out playing on the field is that as former players and alumni, we root for those guys. And so they're not only representing themselves and their families, they're representing us. And that's very important to carry on that legacy.
George Davis, the injured Marshall player, has had himself a big night. Ended up returning that touchdown earlier. Want to focus on a guy that I know, if you're here just about every weekend, you've gotten to see quite a bit of Chase Litton. Give us your scouting report as a former pro quarterback. What you think of the guy that's controlling the Thundering Herd now?
Well, I think what you see, what's been evident tonight is there's no doubt that the physical skills are there. The talent is there physically, and I think Chase's biggest challenge is learning how to be a quarterback outside of the physical realm and how to lead young men, how to lead a huddle, how to run a huddle, how to make those mental decisions both on and off the field. And that's a process. It really is. But he's making a nice progression, and he just got to stay in his own wheelhouse, realize what his talents are, making sure he's trying to become the best quarterback he can be, and he'll be fine.
In terms of your success here, I know there are a lot of things that probably stand out. You end up with quite the bowl record and getting to the national championship not once but twice. It was Kresser who ends up winning, but you end up getting back the next year. What stands out the most though for you? What are the top 2 or 3 memories, I guess?
Well, I would say our Western Michigan win where we were down 23-0 in the third quarter and came back and kept our undefeated season alive in 1999 was really special. I remember going to Death Valley and beating Clemson and Tommy Bowden in their first game. That was unbelievable, especially the adversity that we had faced. And then just the overall support from the community. I mean, we were adopted sons of this community. And they rooted for us. They traveled with us. They knew us by first name. And that experience was really special.
I say Randy Moss. You say?
Unbelievable. Greatest Marshall football player in history. Absolutely. He was so fun to play with. He could do things that just other people could not do. Even though they thought they could not. And he made it look so easy and so simple, but he was so competitive. And he wanted to football. He wanted to do things to help his team win, and it was really fun to play with him.
Best friend on the team. Tell me your center, please. Give it to me.
Oh, no doubt. Jason Starkey, we're still buddies to this day. And most of my linemen. I ran around with the linemen because I knew they took care of me and I take care of them. So, but had some great teammates. Still talk to a lot of guys. Got a former teammate in my box right now, and we're talking and reminiscing a little bit. But that's one of the fun things now coming back and watching the Herd play is that I'll see a couple of teammates and we'll get together and be able to watch the game and catch up. So it ends up being good.
Playoffs with 2 different teams in the NFL. Now you're retired. You enjoying it in terms of getting the extra time at home? I know you were coaching a little bit. You still doing that?
I youth coach. I do a lot of youth football coaching with 10U and middle school, and coach a lot of flag football with the younger ages. Also working with the NFL as a consultant with the NFL Legends community, which has been really a neat experience working with guys transitioning out of the game as a transition coach and helping them make that transition from the game and assist them with the resources so they can be successful outside of the game.
Yeah, I talked to Chris Massey. He said you got a nice little compound out at your spot right now. You built like your own nice little indoor facility. You got jealous and made a little replica at your own place.
Well, you know, we were fortunate enough to find a small little horse farm that had an indoor riding arena, and I told my wife, I said, you know, we're really not horse people, so I think I'm going to throw turf on it. We're going to have fun.
Why not?
So that's what we did.
By the way, journalism major, I remember from when you were here, and you used to do some work on the campus radio station. They said you used a pseudonym, though, not to call attention to yourself. So what was it? What was Chad Pennington's radio name?
You know what? You've asked me, and I completely went blank, but we did have a Friday morning show, and I'm not real proud of the name. It's called Friday Morning Hangover, but we would have a good time with it, and it was really early on Friday mornings, like 6 to 9 or 5 to 9 or something. And, but, you know, my experiences in the journalism department here were unbelievable, and fortunate enough to be able to work with Fox Sports and the NFL on Fox my first year out of retirement, which is a great experience. And my experiences at Marshall prepared me for that. The Parthenon newspaper, WMUL, the radio station, and then MU Report on television. It was really fun.
Well, before we let you get out of here, I want to know what you think. We've heard the ring is the thing. That was the headline today in the paper. Is this potentially a title team that you have here in Huntington right now?
Well, I think we're young, but we're talented, and so we're just going to have to see how everything plays out. Obviously, you have to stay healthy. You got to keep your quarterback upright. They're young on defense, but you can see the speed that they have, team speed-wise. Conference USA is very stout this year, and so, you know, I look at the Middle Tennessee State game, the Western Kentucky game, Southern Miss with a huge win over Kentucky last week. So even the division that Marshall's in is going to be very, very competitive. And I look for this to be one of the best years that Conference USA has had.
Yeah, conference on the rise. We're going to see a guy next week in Nick Mullins that's actually, I believe, drawing some comparisons to you, so that should be fun.
Yeah, you know, this conference has done a really good job of coming together with the new format, and they just keep getting better and better year in and year out. See Western Kentucky, how well they've been doing in the last few years. So this Marshall team is very talented, but certainly a lot of challenges ahead.
Well, of course, Mid-American, when you were here, now Conference USA in a program that's still on the up and up. Glad to see you. Enjoy the retirement and the coaching, and thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Chad Pennington took both the Jets and the Dolphins to the playoffs, and, of course, 13-0 as a senior, including a big Motor City Bowl win over BYU. And happy to have him, of course, in the booth tonight, reliving old glories here in Huntington.
Finally, we're able to see the running back we've been waiting for all night, Anthony Anderson. Coach is talking about how big this fella is. I know he made a little bit of a joke at this week's press conference about getting under 245 pounds, and if he doesn't weigh in under 245, he might have to walk to the game this evening. So looks like the strength coach and the crew might have got him down to the 250 or 245 they were requesting. I smiled when Chad said that he beat Bowden down in Clemson. Anytime you could beat a Bowden, it puts a smile on my face, regardless of what school he's coaching.
Harris just lost the football, and in they go for the touchdown. It's the other Tyler, Ty Tyler.
Three-star prospect scout, you better believe it. UAB, Coastal, Alabama, Toledo. Very talented athlete right there, number 17, Ty Tyler. Find a nice little pot of gold on the ground and decided to pick it up and go ahead. Hey, I'll take one of those and chalk up myself a nice little 6 points.
Look what I found. Back here in Huntington, right outside the Pennington Hall of Fame. Look at multiple Marco the Buffaloes.
5 or 6 years ago as a junior high school football player. Hasn't done that since. He definitely showed up tonight.
Ball comes out here. And the Herd do end up coming up with it. Tyler, the one to force it. And the recovery for Aaron Dobson, part of that huge defensive line rotation that they have.
It looks like it's going to be a running game now for the next few minutes. Going to try to dwindle down that clock a little bit. They got Pittman in there. little bit of a bruiser. I like the way he's been running. He's got his shoulder pads down and real aggressive, attacking the hole. He's not being shifty. And I found watching Anderson, that's one of the things that I wasn't expecting, but Anderson was kind of pitter-pattering his feet a little bit, acting like he wasn't 245 pounds.
And they'll continue to grind it out with Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman's more the one that looks like he's running 245 pounds right now.
Yeah, picks up 7.
That's one thing running back coaches will constantly stress is stop trying to be pretty and getting through the hole. Get through the hole. Don't worry about it. Square your shoulders, put your head down, and get to the sideline as fast as possible. I know Doc
would like to be dry.
Yes, there's no doubt about it, but a giant South Florida recruit and very well aware of the swag that the U has and trying to pull a little bit from that nice South Florida crop of speed.
And that defensive line rotation. It ends up being Hames. Just how good is it though? 85% is the winning percentage. Better than Baylor, better than that guy Nick Saban. James Franklin's program in there.
Due to the fact that the tight ends have been getting a lot of that favoritism right now, especially with Litton at the quarterback helm, and wide receivers have kind of been sleeping a little bit lately, I guess you can say, but we're woken up tonight for sure. That's undoubted. 9 receivers tonight. Chase Litton spread the ball around too. There you see Chase Litton right there. Happy with his own performance. Ready to go home and give mom a nice big hug and kiss, I imagine.
Yep. Both his parents, Jeff and Lisa, here today. Successful opener for Doc Holliday and company, as they will have a nice string of home games. Akron, and then big matchup in a couple weeks with Louisville. And their talented quarterback.
Career high tonight for Chase Litton. 6 TDs, 309 yards, 13 of 16. Very impressive opening week for these guys on week 2 of college football.
Well, I want to thank the entire Huntington community for giving us such a warm welcome. For my broadcast partner, Brett Romberg, sideline reporter Jordan Daigle, producer Neil Gallo, and our entire fine crew in Huntington, Matt Martucci bidding you good evening from Edwards Stadium.
Welcome into our Miami studios following Marshall's big win over Morgan State by a score of 62-0 in Huntington, West Virginia. Jeremy St. Louis alongside O.J. McDuffie, Kajana Carter, and Donovan McNabb. Gentlemen, this game turned out exactly as we thought it would. I guess on the positive side, certainly for Marshall, a lot of players got to see the field tonight.
To say the least. I think Bobby Boucher got on the field today. I mean, the whole thing about it, I mean, for Morgan State, this is a game for them to see where they are. As far as their talent pool, can they compete with some of the other teams? For Marshall, I think we wanted to see Chase Litton get out there in his second season as a starting quarterback. The four-headed monster, we really only seen two guys run the football. Defensively, they did an excellent job from where they were last year. So I'm excited of where they can go.
Take a look at the highlights from this game. Marshall got it going right away. We talked in the pregame show about what exactly would happen with Chase Litton in terms of whether or not they would run the ball, whether they would pass the ball. Well, Litton was throwing it all over the yard on this day, and here's one of his big targets. Michael Clark, the former basketball player, 6'7", not a lot of guys out jumping him, and Marshall are off to the quick start.
Conference USA, be aware of this young man for those jump balls in the red zone. It's going to be big for him.
Litton to Ryan Juracek, the tight end, one of the best tight ends in the FBS, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, as you see right here, he's running away from the defense. So he did a good job, really catching the ball and utilizing his speed to get to the end zone.
Right down the middle. 58 yards when it's all said and done. And yeah, the herd are flying. It's 14-0. Play action, something we talked about in the pregame, OJ. One of your keys to the game, get that play action going, and he did, and here he goes again.
Morgan State was so focused on the run, they stacked the box, give Chase Litton an opportunity to put it in his pocket and pull it out, throw the ball deep again to Mr. Michael Clark.
21-0 at that point. And then this is a bit of a circus catch. Donovan, you say this is a great throw.
Great throw, back shoulder throw. See the defender up front.
All right.
Back bottom throw.
Back bottom throw. Yeah, that's right. Backside throw is what you call that.
Trusting your receivers, that's what it is.
That could be play of the week.
And right here, you'll just see a little bit of swag from Mr. Litton. Thank you so much. I'm hot.
Camera shot.
Take a selfie. 28-0. You got if you
O-line don't get no love.
If you see the studio in here at all, that's the thing that Donovan loved the most is getting his swag on.
Swag.
Yeah. We thought Morgan State were going to go in for one here, and it ends up
Go.
going the other way. 95 yards.
Defense preserving the shutout. It means a lot to the defense side of the ball.
Yeah.
They see the offense playing so well, going in with a shutout on the other side means a lot come meeting time tomorrow.
George Davis making it 35-0. Next possession, Litton with the pump fake. Rainbow ball to Justin Hunt. He's in for another 6.
No, I just think the receivers really wore down the secondary of Morgan State.
Litton
With the size advantage, all they Litton had to do was get the ball in the air, and the receiver was able to go get it.
4 TDs in the first half there. And then here's, 5 TDs, then 6 here. Emmanuel Byrd, the tight end, makes it 49-0. Then in the third quarter, after a penalty put them into Morgan State territory, Tony Pittman goes in from 9 yards out, another running back.
Yeah, another guy getting an opportunity to play. That's what's nice about a big league. You get some opportunities for young guys get some big runs for your team.
Things go from bad to worse for Morgan State. End of the third quarter. Fumbled snap on the shotgun. Ty Tyler takes that in for another 6, and it's 60-plus for the Herd. 62-0 the final.
They pounded the quarterback early in that game, and often he had 1.2 seconds to get the ball off at times, and obviously that wasn't enough time, and they just beat him up. And that's what you do. Right? There's an old saying in football, when you hit the quarterback, the whole team feels it, and Morgan State felt it today.
The thing about it, I think that made them very successful. They changed up their coverages. And when you change up your coverages, that throws off the timing of any passing offense. And when a quarterback's holding the football, it's like a shark just, seeing bait. They're just attacking and forcing turnovers, and their defense flying around. We talked about, obviously, with guys leaving the team and they have to fill a few holes. I thought the transfers that they had come in, as well as the new guys stepping into key positions, did a wonderful job of doing their job.
Last week we thought, that's a big hit.
Yeah, that's a shot that any quarterback does not like to see.
Yeah. We thought last week when we were doing the UTEP game and watching Aaron Jones rattle off 249 yards rushing that we had a player of the week in our midst. It didn't turn out to be the case, but, it's hard to argue against Chase Litton being your player of the week for week 2 based on the performance we saw tonight.
I told you, all quarterbacks should be player of the week. So this is just a perfect example of everything that I've been talking about. It starts and ends with the quarterback. This young man came into the game as a big question mark. He showed us he can get the ball downfield and give him the award.
I think the offensive line should be player of the week.
Well, he's got a point there, Donovan.
Think about this. Chase Litton didn't even get hit. They gave him time to throw the ball. So I think the offensive line should get the player of the week.
And that's a good offensive line,
If that's the case,
too.
we should give Morgan State defense the player of the week. Because
you could. You could. Really think about it, you could.
Did they even play today? They were hoping for thunder and lightning.
Yeah, it almost came. It almost came.